When we think of discipline, what's the first thing that pops into your head? For most of us, it's something intense, right? Like a 4 a.m. alarm, a freezing cold shower, or some crazy 30-day challenge that you see all over social media. It's loud, it's flashy, it feels like a performance. But what if I told you the most powerful form of discipline is the complete opposite of that? Okay, let's just sit with that for a second. This quote, man, it really gets to the heart of a totally different kind of growth. It's saying that real, lasting change isn't about the big public show. It's about the private promise you make to yourself, the small, consistent work you put in when literally no one is watching or clapping or keeping score. It's a fantastic question, isn't it? I mean, we're constantly being told to broadcast our goals, for accountability. But as we're about to see in this explainer, that whole approach can seriously backfire. So today, we're going to debunk a few of those big myths and uncover a much more sustainable and honestly a more peaceful path to building habits that actually stick. All right, first up, let's tackle the idea that real change has to be this massive all-or-nothing effort. We're going to dig into why small, steady, quiet actions almost always win in the long run. Look, big goals are exciting. They give you this awesome rush of motivation. But here's the problem. That initial intensity, that go hard or go home mindset, it's just incredibly hard to maintain. It's like trying to sprint a marathon. You're going to burn out. Consistency, though, that's about finding a steady pace. It builds this quiet momentum that fuels even bigger changes way, way down the line, long after that first burst of excitement is gone. So what does this consistency actually look like in practice? Well, the math is kind of mind-blowing. James Clear, in his incredible book, Atomic Habits, breaks it down like this. If you can just get 1% better every single day, the compounding effect over a year is stunning. You don't just get a little better, you end up 37 times better. Just think about that. It's like compound interest, but for your own self-improvement. But, and this is a big but, here's the challenge. For a long time, that 1% improvement feels like you're doing absolutely nothing. This is what Clear calls the plateau of latent potential. It's that super frustrating phase where you know you're putting in the work day in and day out, but the results just haven't shown up yet. The key is to trust the process right here, because your big breakthrough is building just beneath the surface. So how in the world do you push through that plateau? Well, you do it by shifting your focus. Instead of obsessing over the goal, that big outcome you want, you concentrate on your system. A goal is having a clean house. A system is just tidying up for 5 minutes every evening. Winners and losers often have the exact same goals. What separates them is a reliable system that makes progress pretty much inevitable. All right, let's move on to the second big myth, and you'll see how this connects. It's the idea that announcing your goals to get public accountability is always a good thing. Turns out, this can create a really dangerous psychological trap. There's actually a well-documented reason for this. It's called the over-justification effect. It's a bit of a mouthful, but the idea is simple. Research shows that when you add an external reward, like praise or likes or comments, to something you were already motivated to do, your intrinsic drive actually goes down. The external validation starts to replace the internal satisfaction. And when that happens, the habit is no longer really yours. It kind of belongs to the audience now. The moment you post about your new workout routine or your diet, the activity can shift from being an act of self-improvement to being a performance for social media. And what happens when the audience stops clapping? Well, your motivation often disappears right along with it. So if external praise isn't the answer, what is? Well, a theory called self-determination theory points to 3 core psychological needs. The most durable, long-lasting motivation comes from autonomy, that feeling that you chose this path for yourself, and competence, that awesome feeling of seeing yourself actually get better at something. Quiet, private discipline, it feeds both of those needs directly, without any outside noise. So, if we're supposed to avoid the intensity myth and sidestep the performance trap, what's left? Well, this brings us to the true, sustainable engine of motivation, the simple, quiet power of making progress, no matter how small it seems. Researchers Teresa Amabile and Stephen Kramer discovered something truly profound. They analyzed thousands and thousands of diary entries from employees, and they found that the single biggest driver of motivation, of happiness, of performance, was just making headway on work that felt meaningful. They called this the progress principle. And you want to hear the best part? It doesn't require some giant leap forward.
A lot of the best day ever events that people wrote about were just minor steps, tiny little wins. The takeaway here is huge. Small, ordinary wins can create this outsized positive reaction in our brains, boosting our mood and our drive to keep going. So how do we create an environment where these small wins can happen? The researchers identified 2 key factors. First, there are catalysts. These are things that directly support the work itself, like having clear goals and the freedom to tackle them your own way. And then there are nourishers. These are the interpersonal things, like getting respect and encouragement that fuel the person doing the work. Now, when you combine these elements, you create this incredible, self-reinforcing cycle. This is the progress loop. Making a little bit of progress boosts your motivation. That increased motivation leads to better performance, and better performance leads to, you guessed it, more progress. It's the ultimate upward spiral, all powered by small wins. Okay, let's bring all these ideas home with one final and I think really powerful shift in mindset. What if we stopped treating our personal growth like a project that has to be completed and started treating it more like a practice that needs to be cultivated? I absolutely love this metaphor of a garden. You just can't rush a garden, right? You have to be patient, you have to observe it, and you have to wait for it to grow in its own time. You learn to work with its rhythm, not try to force your own schedule on it. And our own growth requires that exact same kind of quiet patience. Think about it. A construction project is all about pressure and deadlines and hitting a finish line. A garden is this ongoing, lifelong process of tending and nurturing. When we start to see our growth this way, it just takes all the pressure off. We can stop worrying about getting it done and just focus on the daily practice of cultivation.
And this reframes the whole idea of discipline, doesn't it? A consistent habit stops being this chore you have to grind through. Instead, it becomes a genuine act of self-respect. Every small, repeated action is a quiet way of honoring the person you are right now, and the person you are slowly, patiently becoming. So I'll leave you with this one question to think about. Forget the performance, forget the grand gestures. Just think about the small, consistent, and private actions you're taking day after day. What's the garden that you are patiently and quietly cultivating just for yourself?